And we're live. Oh, hello. Right, we started. You coming over here, Junior, or are you?
Give me 1 second.
You just sitting with your feet up over there. That's my trusty cameraman over there. Hello.
It's been a long week.
Has it been a long week, has it? Just started work, hasn't he? We got our first viewer, mate. And that's not down to you. 2 viewers. Say hello, say hello. Drop us a message in the comments. Say hello, who's watching. Let me get this up live on my laptop. That's my just don't want to listen to my voice. Right, so we've got see, I can only see that we've got 3 people so far. We'll get started in how many minutes? 2 minutes. We'll get started in 2 minutes. Say hello if you've watched before. Drop us a message in the comments box. Love to hear from you. If you've seen any of my demonstrations with the help of my trusty cameraman, please just drop me a message in the comments box. If you've enjoyed anything, if you tried any of the meals, let me know how well you've done with them. If you've enjoyed them, any suggestions, please pop them in. I'd love to know where everyone's watching from. We've had people from all over Birmingham, so please let me know where you're coming from. If you're a regular viewer, please say hello as well. Right, you with it? You here?
I'm here.
You're here, but not here. You're here, but not here. We got a message. Carmen, hello, Carmen. How are you? Whereabouts are you coming from today? Have you watched before? What have you eaten today? Let me know everything. Want to know everything? Drop me a message and we'll have a nice conversation. Taz, hello, Taz. Trusty watcher, trusty viewer. Always count on Taz and Lorna to watch. So you've had a long day so far.
It's not been long. It's just I'm still adjusting.
Adjusting to work life.
After being a student for so long.
Yeah, and now you're back into, well, you're not back into, you're in the real world now. So we'll get started in a minute when we've got a few more viewers. And then we'll get cracking on. Right, we're up to 7. When we get to 10, we'll start. Okay?
I like that when we get to
When we get, it's that positive mental attitude that you've got to have. None of this negativity. Although I would like it to get to 10 quite quickly. We're 3 away. Kalisha, hello again. How are you? Did you enjoy the last session? Sorry I wasn't here last week, but the week before. Did you enjoy it? Did you get anything from it? Have you tried the dish? What did we cook? Last time?
We're really bad at this.
Really bad. What did we cook? Omelette.
We did
Omelette. Omelette.
Was it omelette last?
Vegetarian option. Omelette.
Yes, we did.
Omelette with some veg, smashed avocado, bit of fun. Omelette. That was it. I know. These you probably can't see them, but the grey hairs are. We're at 10. We're at 10. Right. So I'm going to hand over the cameraman. Just as I was about to talk about my grey hairs, I'm going to give you over to my cameraman, who's really, really thrilled, excited, full of energy to get started today, aren't you? He was just about to have a midday nap, and then he realised, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to film my brother cook my lunch. So you've got something today, haven't you?
Yeah, I need lunch.
Need lunch. Right, so we'll get started. How many of you? We're up to 13 already. Superb. Right, hello everyone. My name is Callum Walker and I'm a performance nutritionist, and welcome to this nutrition workshop with the Active Wellbeing Society. So over the last few weeks, we've been covering one specific topic, being how you can lose weight and minimise your risk of conditions such as type 2 diabetes with the kind of foods that you can eat. So we've cooked a wide variety of dishes. I'm going to try and remember what we've cooked so far in this weight loss part of it. So we cooked omelette, we cooked chicken with pesto pasta, and we cooked a curry from scratch. And today I'm going to continue with the takeaway theme. And I'm going to be cooking a Indonesian chicken satay with egg fried rice. Now, I realise that there are a few vegetarians out there. You don't have to use meat, you can use other meat substitutes such as corn fillets go really great with this. Also, tofu is a fantastic substitute with this kind of cooking as well. But then also, and as we've said beforehand, it doesn't have to just be kind of a meat-based or meat substitute-based. Just pack it out with veg. So today I'm going to be cooking a chicken satay, a takeaway favourite that you can get mostly from Chinese takeaways over here, because there aren't really that many Indonesian takeaways, but lovely dish. Takes absolutely no time to put together. Again, from a cost perspective, this meal will cost under £1, as opposed to spending £7, £8, £9, £10 at your local takeaway, and it tastes phenomenal. So, what ingredients have we got? So, come on over here. So I'm using chicken breast again, but you can also use chicken thigh again for any vegetarians out there. You can use tofu, you can use corn fillets as well. They're just as good as a substitute. I've seasoned this with salt and black pepper already. Unfortunately, you can't see me with my cracked black pepper technique today, but
you can whip it out for the fans.
I can whip it out for the fans at some point. I've got some carrot, I've got some spring onion, I've got some garlic. What else have we got? We've got some turmeric, some whole grain rice, some lemon juice, soy sauce, and sesame oil. So I'm going to go through kind of each ingredient one by one and the structure in which I'm going to be cooking this meal. So I'm going to start off with, I'm going to start off by making my sauce, okay? Now, when it comes to satay sauces, most of the time, you can buy them shop bought, but the problem with that is, one, they're loaded with sugar, so the kind of peanut butter that they've actually used in there is high in sugar. They've got the wrong type of oils in there as well, and as we've spoken about in previous demonstrations, that we want to make sure that we're keeping our intake of these types of fats called omega-6 as low as possible. So that's things with like your vegetable oils, your sunflower oils, for example. So I'm going to be using, which I haven't mentioned yet, I'm going to be using pure, proper peanut butter, which again has cost me £1.35 from my favourite supermarket, Aldi, round the corner. It's cost me £1.35 for a big jar. It's going to last me a long time, but more importantly, there's no nasties in there. Good quality peanuts just been used, no additional additives, so I'm not getting that extra sugar. I'm not getting those inflammatory oils in there as well. So I'm going to start off by making my sauce with some simple ingredients, being some olive oil, some spring onion, some garlic, and some peanut butter. And then I'm just going to top that off with a little bit of soy sauce and some sesame oil. Then what I'm going to do is put that aside, and I'm going to start on my chicken. So before I start, I'm going to marinate my chicken in some turmeric, which we've spoken about previously when we cut curry, why this is a fantastic spice to have in your kitchen. One, it doesn't cost much. Also, it's very versatile in that it can be used in many different dishes. So in that we've used this previously in a curry, but today we're going to be using this in the satay. But one of the main benefits from a health point of view, why you want to get this in your diet, is that it's full of anti-inflammatory properties. So as we briefly spoke about beforehand, that one, if you're doing any form of exercise, so if you're participating in any of the other workshops that the Active Wellbeing Society are putting on, you're going to get an increase in inflammation, hence why we get a little bit sore after doing any form of exercise. And getting these types of foods in there will help you recover faster, so you're not sore, you can get on with your day, but then also you can do more exercise in the week. But then another thing is that one of the underlying causes of diabetes is inflammation. So if we can lower levels of inflammation, which this meal is just packed full of ways to do that, and one, we've got foods like turmeric in there, but then also I'm going to be using whole grain carbohydrates as opposed to simple refined carbs, and that's going to keep levels of inflammation in the body down and reduce my risk. So I'm going to marinate my chicken in some turmeric and also some lemon juice, leave that to sit for a little bit, and once my sauce has been cooked, I'm going to whack that in the pan, heat that up so it's nice and crispy, beautifully tender inside and juicy, and then I'm going to put the sauce back in there, mix all that together, coat it in that beautiful satay sauce, and then I'm going to get on with my egg fried rice, which you will see will take less than 2 minutes to put together. Junior's going to enjoy eating this. He's staring at me with a real glum face, and now he's heard the word egg fried rice, he's got a big smile on his face. So that is going to be the mechanics of what's going to happen over the next 20 minutes. Have we got any questions so far? If you've got any questions, go forward. The reason I'm walking over here is because my laptop is there and I can see the questions box. So if you've got any questions throughout the whole demonstration, just ping them in there. I'd be more than happy to answer them. It adds a little bit of extra interaction in with the session as well. I've just seen your ugly face pop up as well on the screen, Junior. A lot of people say we look alike, but don't see it.
Yeah, I'm taller, better looking, and that's really it.
My session. You'll see that it said the cooking session with Callum Walker, not Luca Walker. Right, so I'm going to start on my satay sauce. So I'm going to use a small pan. I'm going to pop this aside for now. Okay, Now again, as we've spoken about previously, I want to make sure that this pan is nice and hot. It's going to give that a little bit of extra crisp to my dish, but then also when I'm heating this up, I need to make sure that, I've said this beforehand, from a safety perspective, you never want the handle out here. Very easy to nudge, and that's where food can go flying, you can get hurt. So always make sure that your handle is away from you, pointing together. So I'm going to check on, make sure that when this pan is hot enough to put my oil in. How do I do that, Junior? Put a little bit of water in the pan. So, just a few drops of water into my pan. Once they've evaporated, then I know my pan is hot enough to be used. So what I'm going to do is just wait for that. Now, while that pan is heating up, I'm just going to squeeze the juice of half a lemon. Come over here. I'm going to squeeze the juice of half a lemon into my chicken. So I'm just squeezing that all over. Now you might be asking, what have you done with the other half of the lemon? It's quite a big lemon. Well, what I do is actually, instead of kind of wasting it, just leaving it in the fridge, and as opposed to drinking just kind of things like squash throughout the day or sugary drinks, I actually chop my lemon up into little wedges and then put them in a little box and put them in the freezer. And then what I do is I use them as ice cubes, essentially. It gives a little bit of flavour to my water, and then also it keeps my dish cold and it preserves the lemon. So
You mean your water cold?
What did I say?
Dish.
Oh, there we go. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
So I've squeezed my lemon into there, put that in and there, and then I'm just going to put a teaspoon of turmeric. Now, for the purpose of this dish today, and purely so Junior gets fed, I'm actually making 2 portions, which you can use. I'm just going to mix this around. Big thing with turmeric as well, be careful that if you get this on your clothes, it's going to stain. So make sure that you be careful, and that's why you get the yellow part on your nails after you've had any form of food with turmeric in. So I'm cooking 2 dishes, so just give this a nice little mix around, and I'm just going to leave this to marinate. I'm cooking 2 portions for Junior to eat and for myself to eat after. But in the context of yourself, you can use this to, 1, make a dish for you to eat straight away, but then also you can save it for tomorrow. So then you put yourself a nice lunch, which saves you one having to pick up your own lunch the next day, which will save you money, and also save you time as well. Or you can put it in the freezer and it will last for a good 2 to 3 months. So I've just put my chicken breast onto the side, so that's going to be marinating, and then
Got a couple of questions already.
okay, right, we'll save those for a second. Right, okay, so I'm just going to put about a tablespoon of oil into there. I'm using olive oil again, and I'm just going to let that heat up. Then we're going to have to put the extractor on. No, we're not, because the noise would be bad. Then what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to take that off the heat slightly to cool down, so it's starting to smoke. Right, hold on, what questions have we got?
So you got what's good to eat to keep your eyes healthy?
Right, your eyes healthy. Right, that's a good question. So fruit high in vitamin A, a really good idea. So again, this sounds really obvious, but carrots.
Help you see in the dark?
Yeah, help you see in the dark. There's an element of truth in there. But then also, when it comes to, I'm just going to put these in here. Okay, and I'm just going to let this sizzle. Now this is going to cook quite quickly. I'll answer that question in a second. So I'm just going to kind of just mix this around and get this frying nicely. Now this smells absolutely beautiful. So I've used 1 spring onion. They're quite small spring onions, so if you're looking at larger spring onions that you'll get from a supermarket, it's about half. I used a small one, so about half a large spring onion or 1 small spring onion, and then I've gone with half a garlic clove as well. So I'm just going to leave that to fry for probably about 30 seconds. I want it until the garlic just starts to brown off slightly. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a stir. So yeah, so carrots are a great one, because that's pretty obvious, just from the high vitamin A content. But then also in general, one of the key things is just from a wholesome diet. So there's a lot of kind of things around, is this good for me, is that bad for me? And I had this conversation with someone earlier. Right, okay, that's starting to cook very quickly, so I'm just going to start now. I'm going to put my peanut butter in. Okay. So again, the purpose of this, I'm making 2 portions. So I'm going to go with 2 tablespoons worth of peanut butter. I've gone with crunchy peanut butter because it adds a little bit of extra texture, but you can use smooth as well. Make sure always that you always look at the ingredients, and the only thing that we want in there is 100% peanuts. Okay?
So well, obviously peanuts are quite. A lot of people have allergies. Is there an alternative you can use?
For satay.
Yeah.
You could use almond butter. Again, like it tastes
Almonds,
slightly
nuts.
different. Yeah. I wouldn't have a satay. Yeah, if that's the question. Yeah. I wouldn't have a satay because to do that without any form of peanut would be quite difficult. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. Good question though. Very good question. Right, so I'm just going to cook this off, and I will get back to the ice question in a second, but this is cooking a little bit quicker. So I'm going to cook this off for about 30 seconds until it starts to go nice and smooth. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about 50 ml of water in there, and that's going to make a nice sauce.
There's another question as well afterwards. Do you want to finish the vitamin A?
Yeah. So the key thing is really about making sure that you've just got a full wholesome diet, because it will make sure that everything in the diet functions. Again, specifically when it comes to eye health, you know, a lot of it is derived from inflammation, you know, so kind of specifically vascular inflammation. So what that means, I'm just going to cool this off slightly. So what that means is there's inflammation in the vascular system. So in that, like, you know, your veins, your arteries, etc. Hence why, you know, again, you can get certain problems. So I'm going to put a little bit more water in there. Okay. And then I'm just going to take this off the heat slightly. So I'm going to mix this all in. Yeah, so keeping levels of inflammation in the body down is really the key sort of thing. In that sense, so making sure that if you're having any form of carbohydrates in the diet, that it's full of you know, proper whole grain carbohydrates, not fast releasing refined carbs, so anything white in that sense, and then also making sure that you're getting you know, a solid amount of vegetables and good quality fruits in there as well. That's kind of the best thing that you can do. So I've had to put a little bit more water in there because of the amount of peanut butter that I've used, because I'm making for two. So I'm just going to leave this to simmer for probably about a minute until it starts to kind of thicken up. What other questions have we got?
Malia went, a lot of your recipes are individual for herbs and spices.
Yeah.
How much should it increase for more people?
Oh, okay, so like, you know, if I'm cooking for two, then just increase it by two essentially. But a lot of this comes down to taste, so it might be a bit of a boring answer, but it's completely down to you. So in that kind of, if I'm using something like, you know, a chili powder, for example, if I then go and put, like, let's say if I'm making you know, 3 portions, and the portion is 1 teaspoon of chili powder per recipe, well, actually that could then actually, by putting 3 teaspoons in there, could make it a lot hotter and influence the flavour of the actual dish. And make it quite unpalatable. So what I would do is essentially just kind of taste. With herbs and spices, it is purely down to your own taste profile. So a lot of it is just kind of, you know, mixing and matching and just giving it a little bit of a go. But rule of thumb, when it comes to spices, if I'm using half a teaspoon for this, so I used, normally if I was making this for one person, I'd use half a teaspoon of turmeric in the chicken. I've gone for a whole teaspoon of turmeric there. So this is starting to thicken now really nicely. And what I'm going to do is, just before it gets a bit too thick, I'm going to put this aside. Okay. Any other questions on that?
Not at the moment.
Okay, cool. Right, so that is really nice and saucy, and I'm going to pour that in the side here. As it cools, I may have to add a little bit more water again to add back into my dish, but we'll address that both
When we reach it.
Okay, so I'm just going to quickly wash this up as well. So I'll just leave that to just sit there. And while that's cooling, I'm just going to put about half a teaspoon's worth of soy sauce in here. Okay, and then again about half a teaspoon of sesame oil.
Sesame oil.
Yeah, sesame oil. Tastes amazing. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance to it. So I got my sauce. Just going to give this a little bit of a wash.
Yeah, saves me later.
Pardon?
Saves for me later.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a very caring person. I'm doing your washing up. I'm also cooking you dinner. I mean, what are you doing here?
I'm recording you every week.
Yeah, but I could replace you with a tripod.
Yeah, but you won't get that interaction.
Oh, you're adding interaction, are you?
And you always have a smile on the face when you see me.
You didn't start off with. Right, okay, so.
No, you always do.
I always have a smile on my face when I see you.
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So.
Malia loves your measuring techniques as well.
Oh, thank you. I've got a rough idea. I've cooked for quite some time, so I've got a rough idea of exactly what half a teaspoon of soy sauce looks like, etc. So I'm just going to mix that in. I'm also going to taste it.
Nice.
Beautiful. So that pan is heating up again. I'm just going to wait for that to get nice and hot. Put a little bit of water in. Okay. And now I'm going to get started on my chicken. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with. I love the interaction. Having loads of interaction, dude. So I'm going to start off cooking my chicken, and then halfway through, that's when I'm going to move that onto there and I'm going to start cooking my rice. So, where are we? Oil. Okay. Again, I'm going to use about roughly 2 teaspoons worth of oil to my measuring technique. Roughly about, there we go, a little bit more. Okay. About 2 teaspoons worth of olive oil. So if you're making this yourself, just for one portion, then you only need 1 teaspoon. Again, just to remind you that I'm using twice the ingredients as normal because I'm making Junior his lunch as well. So I'm just going to let that oil just heat up. So, I can't smell this, but
Peanutty.
beautiful, beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that to heat up, which it has nicely. If you cast your mind back, my chicken was marinating. Can you see that? Nice and yellow. So it's marinating in the turmeric and also the lemon juice. I'd seasoned it with salt and pepper previously, and now, safety tip again, whenever you're putting anything into a pan, especially a hot pan, make sure that you lay it away, okay? So, I'm going to lay it away from you. And I'm just going to pour that juice in there as well. So, unfortunately, this is washing up for you. So, I'm going to cook this for roughly, I want to spread this out, okay? I don't want to crowd the pan too much, because then, I've got this on a relatively high heat as well, because if I crowd it too much, it'll actually start to boil, so I don't really want them touching too much here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook them for, oh, got a little pip in there. You get it? Yeah.
Nice texture.
Huh?
Be nice texture.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to cook this for roughly about 3 minutes on each side. Again, I've cut them into like roughly similar sort of sizes, because then they're all going to cook at the same time. What I don't want to have is one part of it overcooked, one part of it undercooked. They're all at the same, sort of same size. Again, my cutting wasn't exceptional today, so I've got a couple which are a bit off. But I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. Then I'm going to move it over to here actually. I've got another pan, another hob on there. So this is on a medium-high heat. I'm just going to leave these on both sides, and on one side, and then I'm going to flip it over in a moment. But for now, I'm going to start on my rice. So, ingredients for my rice. I've got half a garlic clove again, and I've also got 1 spring onion. I've got some carrot, then I've got whole grain rice. Now what I've gone and got is that I really can't be bothered to stand here for 30 minutes and cook some boiled rice. So I've been a little bit lazy, but I've been smart in that I've gone and bought some pre-cooked rice. This cost me £1 for the whole packet, and this will give me 3 portions. Okay? So it's already cooked. I'm just going to throw it straight into the pan, and it tastes great. So this is whole grain rice. So make sure that whenever you're buying any form of rice, there's a difference between brown rice and whole grain rice. So make sure that it says specifically whole grain when using. You can use pre-cooked, or you can already cook it yourself. The only issue with brown rice is that it does take quite a long time. It takes significantly longer amount of time to cook than any white rice does. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my other pan out. So my big pan here. Okay. I'm just going to allow this to heat up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some olive oil in there, again just like a couple of teaspoons of olive oil. I'm then going to fry off my vegetables, put that in there, and then what I've got is I've cracked 2 eggs. Again, I've got free range eggs, If you weren't watching if you haven't watched one of the previous demonstrations that we've done, going for free-range eggs is so much more beneficial to your health than going for factory farmed eggs. Really simple, happy chicken, happy egg. These are so much more nutrient dense. They've got a higher quality source of protein into them, but then also you're getting so many more nutrients, vitamin D, omega-3 for example, which again, lower levels of inflammation, and it tastes so much better. So this pan's nice and hot. What I'm going to do is just turn my chicken over now. So these have got a beautiful golden colour to them. Can you zoom in on the chicken?
Tripod couldn't do this.
No, I can take it off the tripod for them though. Okay, and I can get the perfect angle that I'm actually looking for as well. Tell you what, so that pan, is it going to be hot enough? I'll tell you what.
Why don't you check?
For the purpose of this, I'm going to use the other one. It's smaller, that's going to take too long. Okay, so pop them there, pull off. A little bit smaller. Okay, allow that to heat up with a little bit of water in. Okay, like that. Like that. Have you got any other questions at all?
Nothing at the moment, no.
It's a bit quiet today, isn't it? Well, I guess a lot of people are back to work now, aren't they? So we're at 9 viewers. Anyone got any questions? Anything else? And that smells absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I'm so happy you're cooking me lunch.
Huh?
So happy you're cooking me lunch.
Yeah, I know, lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky boy.
Back on the carbs as well, so.
Back on the carbs.
Yeah.
No, it's good to get them back in sometimes. I'm just going to have a little drink actually. So this is taking a little bit longer because that's a bigger pan than the other one. So previously actually, I had a question around portion sizes. So how can I make sure that I've got the ideal portion size for me? Well, the key thing, and I briefly mentioned this beforehand, that's nearly heated up. The key thing is making sure that when you're eating wholesome foods, you don't actually have to worry about your portion sizes. If you're having to control your portions because if you're trying to lose weight, for example, because you're consistently hungry, then actually you're probably eating the wrong types of foods. Kind of the ideal way to lose weight, eat healthily, or kind of if you're looking to manage diabetes, for example, is to make sure that you actually kind of eat until satisfaction. So with this meal, because it's got kind of all of the foods in there that are high in protein, they're low in refined carbohydrates, they've got good quality fats in them, they're actually going to keep me fuller for a longer period of time. So in that, by having these sort of meals in there, that I'm actually only going to need to eat 2 or 3 times a day, as opposed to having restricted smaller dishes, which are going to keep me hungry and not actually fill me up. So I'm then going to eat more. So the key thing is making sure that you're following all of the kind of foods that we've gone through, purely wholesome, real foods, and you're eating until satisfaction. And if you're not hungry, don't force yourself to eat. So in that, part of the whole, kind of portion size aspect is, kind of looking at it going, I've got to consistently eat. But actually, if you aren't hungry, then allow your body to run on its stores. That pan's nice and hot, so...
Got a lovely message off Jane.
Here she is!
Good afternoon, Callum and Luca. Working my lunch. I think I'd like this rather than my couscous and salad.
I think you would as well, Jane. Thank you so much for watching, Jane. Every week, without fail, she turns up and watches. So, I've put a couple of teaspoons worth of olive oil into this pan, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my spring onion and garlic in there, and also my carrots as well. Okay. So I'm going to pop those in there.
Help us see better?
Pardon?
To help us see better?
There you go, got some vitamin A in there. Okay, now I'm just going to leave these to heat up. I'm also going to increase the heat slightly. The problem with these electric hobs, they take ages. Now I'm just going to turn the chicken over once more as well. This is nearly cooked. So, Luca, how do we know when the chicken is cooked?
Cut them open usually and see if it's pink on the inside.
Yeah, but I'm struggling with this. But if you cook for a while, you just know when.
You can kind of tell with the actual texture, well not the texture, kind of the feel of it.
Yeah, so these only really need another 30 seconds at the max, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my satay sauce in there. So I'm just going to get my veg, so it's just, I don't want to cook this too long because I don't want it to be sloppy and slimy. I still want to have a little bit of a bite and a bit of crunch in my egg fried rice. So I fried my veg off, and now just before they start to change their colour, I'm going to pop my egg in there. So I've just whipped up 2 eggs into a mug. Okay. And now I'm just going to stir vigorously. Don't season the egg yet, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it off the heat slightly. Okay. Before this fully cooks, and that's where I'm just going to season it with a little bit of salt.
We've got our nice little Himalayan salt.
Himalayan pink salt, isn't it? Okay. And I'm just going to whip this up here. So just mash it up nicely. And now I'm going to pour about 2/3 worth of this rice in there. So this is a 250 gram bag.
So for one person, how much are you looking at?
About a third of this bag.
For one person?
Yeah, max. You don't want to go more. Okay? So now I'm just going to mix all this in together, get my egg fully combined into the rice. Okay, get that one. Now, what I'm also going to do, that's on the side, I'm going to pour my satay sauce in with the chicken. Okay. And then I'm just going to mix it all in there. Okay. So we need a little bit of salt as well in there. So you probably can't hear this, but that rice is starting to crackle, which is exactly what I like. Okay, now what I want to do then is, okay, I'm just going to plate this up. So mix this all together. Off this, there's 1 portion.
Oh.
There's 2 portions. There. Okay.
Lunch.
Okay, mix this together, and then what I'm going to do, smells lovely. I'm going to get a bit of my soy sauce, so roughly a teaspoon's worth.
The measuring technique.
Yeah, well, that is exactly a teaspoon's worth. And then about half a teaspoon of sesame oil. Don't want to go too much because this is quite powerful stuff with the flavour. Okay, so then mix all that together. The smell, it's beautifully nutty. It's a lovely smell, the sesame oil is. And I'm going to finish it off.
I knew it was going to be whipped out at one point.
Right at the end, one last thing. Mix all that in together. Okay, and then beautiful. I'm going to bring these over, point them up here. We've got chicken satay with egg fried rice. Okay. Again, this has taken me quite some time because I've been talking. However,
And 2 portions as well.
and I've made 2 portions as well. However, let's have a look. There we go. Just clean that up there. Presentation's not great today. Gordon wouldn't be very happy with me, but smells beautiful, tastes beautiful. Only actually should take about 10-15 minutes. If we actually break that down, you know, we're gonna turn the hob off. My start off with my sauce. That should actually only really take about 2 minutes. Then I'm starting to cook my chicken, which while I'm cooking my sauce that's marinating, that'll only actually take about 5 minutes with a smaller portion in there. And then my rice again should only take 2 or 3 minutes. So we've got time for a couple of questions. So I know that you're very excited to eat this. I'm very excited to eat this. I'm going to have the bigger portion.
That's understandable.
Thanks. Put the hard yards in there. But if you've got any questions, love to hear from you. No, while we're on for the next sort of 5 minutes. While I'm waiting for some questions, I do always have to say this, but this is not a substitute for a medical program. Before you take on any form of new nutrition program, exercise program, always make sure that you consult your doctor or your physician to make sure that the ethos and the advice that's been given suits your own profile. Again, what was I going to say? Again, yeah, this is very general advice. It's not personal to yourself, so please make sure that you do check in with your doctor before you do start anything new completely. So we've just got a few thank yous. Wonderful. Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for watching. Jane, thank you as always for watching. I'm just going to start tucking into this. Yeah, just let that work this way. Let's see. This goes down. Oh, I might want to not miss my mouth to start with.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's helpful.
Did you try?
It's on camera.
That's so nice. So, we got any questions? No. Well, it's been a bit of a quiet one today, isn't it?
I think, like you said earlier, most people back at work.
Most people back at work, which is great, you know, because we want to kind of get back to normal life, back to how things were beforehand.
Gyms are open tomorrow.
Gyms are opening tomorrow, so that's good. But still, you know, kind of, although the gyms are opening tomorrow, don't just kind of limit yourself to just exercising inside now. You know, kind of, we've all had a taste of the beautiful outdoors. You know, I've got into my running, getting outside, beautiful. It gives you a real good feel factor as well. So keep getting outside. You know, keep getting keep getting your exercise, etc. And enjoy it. So, Malia, how much fruit is recommended per day? Oh, that's a great question. Right. Okay. So, I'm going to.
I know you love this one.
Yeah, I'm going to say something which is probably
controversial.
Controversial. But for those who know me, I'm not one who's shy of a bit of controversy. So technically, if we look at the government guidelines and the NHS guidelines, it says that you should have a minimum of 5 portions of fruit a day. However, as we previously went through, you know, if I look at an average banana, so a medium banana, you're looking at, you know, kind of in excess of 20 grams of carbohydrates in that, which is, you know, close to, so I think it's about 26 grams of carb. You know, which is the equivalent to essentially 6 teaspoons of sugar. So if I did that 5 times a day, that's 30 teaspoons of sugar that I'm getting in. So, do I want to be taking in 30 teaspoons of sugar a day? No. Now, I'm not saying don't eat fruit. However, I would keep it minimal in the sense that you can get, and you've answered your own question there, Malia, you get everything you need from vegetables. You know, kind of low carbohydrate veg. Again, don't avoid fruit. You know, I'm not saying that fruit doesn't have its benefit. In that, you know, the key thing is that you do have a lot of beneficial nutrients in them. So if you look at banana, you've got a lot of potassium in there. You know, you get a lot of vitamin C in your oranges, for example. But as I kind of briefly went through previously, you know, you get more vitamin C in half a red pepper than you do in a whole orange. So fruit isn't your only source of these sort of micronutrients. So what I would do is kind of, if you are going to go for your fruits, go for your low sugar fruits, so your berry fruits, so things like, you know, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, or just keeping your fruit portion size. Again, this is a general recommendation of mine. This isn't completely bespoke to you, to yourselves, but keep it to under 100 grams per day and just up it with the veggies. If I think about how much vegetables that I've managed to get, so how many vegetables I've managed to get in my meal here, I managed to get, you know, kind of spring onions in there, and I've managed to use them twice. I use them in my egg fried rice, and I also use them in my sauce. I managed to get some carrots in there, I managed to get some garlic in there, but then also kind of these foods, like your vegetables and your fruits, aren't the only sources of your micronutrients, so your vitamins and minerals, in that because I'm using whole grain rice, I'm getting, you know, an abundance of B vitamins in there. Because I'm using, you know, kind of proper chicken breast, you know, I'm getting a good amount of B12 in there. I'm also getting you know, an excessive amount of protein as well. So, so the key thing is that just make sure, as opposed to just focusing on like one food group, make sure that your plate looks relatively similar to this, where I've got a good portion of protein coming from my animal foods. Now, if you're vegetarian or vegan, put the conversation back to me, please. Then you get a good quality amount of protein from whether it's corn, whether it's tofu, you know, whether you're using higher protein sources of, you know, kind of legumes and pulses. I've got a portion of protein on there. I've got a good portion of vegetables in there. So if I look at this, I've got my protein coming from my chicken. I've got my vegetables coming from my carrots, my spring onions, my garlic. Whether you're kind of going for a lower carb meal or kind of a higher carb meal, if I'm using the carbs, then I'm having a whole grain source of carbohydrate. But then also I'm looking for a portion of fat, which I've got from my peanut butter and I've also got from my olive oil. So to answer the question again, I would definitely keep your fruit consumption lower. Because a common thing that I hear is someone will say, well, but it's natural sugar. Well, sugar is sugar. Okay. Technically, cane sugar, your teaspoon of sugar that you have, that's technically natural sugar. But anyway, that's a conversation for another one. So what I would do is focus on getting your vegetable intake up. Again, it doesn't have to be some boiled broccoli and some boiled carrots on the side. Think about the curry that we cooked the other week. I had onions, garlic, tomatoes, which just had to be in the dish to make it the dish. And I've got 3 portions of vegetables right there. So try and do it that way. What other comments have we got? Here we go.
Taz wanted to know what's next week.
Next week? Oh, you tell me.
When
did I come up with this?
Earlier.
Earlier. I was like, right, okay. What shall we cook today? Oh, I know. Chicken satay.
We do need to go on a food shop though.
We do need to go on a food shop. In answer to your question, Taz, I have no idea. It could potentially be another batch cooking session. I think that'd be quite useful. Jane's a fan of the curry. Yes, wonderful. I think what I could have in mind is show you how to make a bolognese properly. How to make a proper bolognese. That's a really easy meal to batch cook, tastes amazing, and also is a really easy option from a vegetarian perspective.
I really fancy bolognese next week.
Do you
anyway.
fancy bolognese next
Yeah.
week? All right.
Yeah.
So we could do that. Would smoothies be okay, berry based? Yeah, absolutely. Again, kind of what I would do. So it depends on how you're going to make the smoothie. But I tell you what would be really nice if you get some dark cocoa powder. So if we've got any. No.
Don't think we do. No.
I think I drank it all.
Yes.
Definitely drank it all. So go with what was I going to say? Some dark cocoa powder with some almond milk, or even some whole milk. That would be fine. With a few berries in there, and then a quarter avocado. Blitz that up, and that would taste wonderful.
Lorna's just said vegetarian bolognese or meat.
Well, probably meat-based that I'll cook, but you can use it with corn, or you can get corn mince, and then also kind of vegetables as well.
We'll discuss the substitutes as.
Yeah, we'll kind of we'll have a thought of that anyway. Thought on that one. So, have we got any other questions on here? We got. Yeah, there we go. Right, so I hope you all enjoyed today. We're going to tuck into some lunch. Which would be really nice. And again, please give the dishes a try. Jane, you seem to have tried everything that we cooked, so that's fantastic. Had some wonderful feedback off you as well. So just a huge thank you to all of your interaction, your support. I hope you enjoy these videos. I know that we both really enjoy putting them on as well. We get to eat some really tasty food and kind of try some new things out as well. So look after yourselves, stay positive, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. So thank you.
Bye.